I have been reading a ton this summer and now going into fall because I've been testing all of these devices. I have the Books 6 that I still got to finish a review on. I have the new base model Kindle. I have the new Kindle Paperwhite. I also have like just a few books like scattered across this desk. There's a whole section of books over there. I got some of them over here from the old studio. But today we're talking about 5 reads that I have lined up that I'm enjoying, that I've already started or plan to start. That's just gonna make up my fall 2024 readings. So sit back, get cozy, and maybe some tea or coffee or something. I got my coffee right here. Word. All right, let's get into it. First book up is The Everlasting Man by G.K. Chesterton. If you haven't read Chesterton, oh man, he is so good. Just such a fun read every single time, profound but playful. This is Chesterton's response to H.G. Wells' The Outline of History. So H.G. Wells, famous for War of the Worlds, wrote this book called his Outline of History, which is about mankind and religion as like a product of natural selection. Of course, Chesterton had to rip that to shreds with his own take on the subject. And it's just full, those playful and profound things that are like punchy, but like reflexive axioms. I'm gonna pull up a quote from it right now because I've been really enjoying reading this. If Christianity were only a new Oriental fashion, it would never be reproached with being an old and Oriental faith. Definitely check it out. If you haven't yet read Heretics and Orthodoxy, I still haven't made up my mind if this should be read first before those two or afterward, but let me know down in the comments below if you've read either of those 3 books and which order they should be read in. Heretics, Orthodoxy, Everlasting Man, or Everlasting Man, Heretics, Orthodoxy. You be the judge. Okay, book number 2 is A Long Obedience in the Same Direction by Eugene Peterson. Now, I got recommended this book by someone that I really respect in my community, a book based on the Songs of Ascent from the Book of Psalms, and each chapter is a different take on each one of the, I think, 15 Songs of Ascent that are in the Book of Psalms. And Peterson's an interesting character for my background in Christianity, having grown up with this Catholic background, being Hispanic, being into the Vulgate and reading like just trying to get like the literal real stuff out of the Bible. Peterson came off to me always as a casual Christian, though I didn't know anything about him. I don't think I've ever read anything by him prior to this. And I can say after reading, I'm about 50% of the way through this one, I'm finding some common ground with him. I feel like him and I are both tuned into the same sort of like mystic stuff. For contrast, I've been disciplined in the Spanish mystics for about 7 years now. I've been really studying and getting into that and having that be a huge pillar of my faith. But Peterson, after reading this book, I'm feeling like we're one of a kind, one and the same. There have been several really good bits here, and I appreciate it. So I'd recommend it to anyone who's looking to get deeper into some of those beautiful, like just amazing, elegant bits of the Psalms. Book number 3 is Taliesin. I think I'm pronouncing that right, by Stephen Lawhead. It is the first book in the Pendragon cycle. I originally decided I was gonna pick up this series because there is a TV series being produced now of this book series. I think it came out in like the late 80s, early 90s. Heard a lot of good things about it and was feeling like I needed some fantasy that was like somewhere around like the Lord of the Rings realm. What did it for me actually was that this is not set in like a medieval setting. It's actually set in like the 7th century, so like fall of Rome in England. A bunch of other stuff's happening. I don't want to give too much away, but the cool collision of like magic and like druidic magic, and then like just the Christian monks and like the bards and stuff kind of all coming together and having to figure out life together or fighting. It's crazy. It's a blast. It's a great time. The character development is Lord of the Rings level good. Now the settings, it's England at the fall of the Roman Empire, so it's not, Minas Tirith and some of these other things, but the character development, the bits of magic meeting sort of Christian ideals, ideas, it's good stuff. I'm really excited for now the TV series and to read the second book, Merlin. I think the TV series is supposed to come out this winter, or maybe even later this fall, and then I hope to read Merlin, which is the second book in the series shortly after. So I'll give you an update when I do another one of these videos. All right, book number 4 is The Coaching Habit by Michael Bungay Stanier. I think I said that right. It was recommended to me by my friend Levi, and while this is a book for like coaches and people who want to do like life coaching, executive coaching, I think what's most interesting about this book is it is based around these like different fundamental questions that you can ask to like guide and direct and develop a conversation. I'm a firm believer that the quality of your life will be determined by the quality of your questions. So if you can level up your questions, like the questions that are formed in this book, and like teaches you how to use these questions in conversation that feels natural, that feels like you're able to use these things to like help empower someone else, even empower yourself. Yeah, get better questions, get a better life. That's really what it boils down to. So far, it's very good. I'm just kind of scratching the surface with this one, but I'm stoked to finish it off here before the end of the year. And I think if you're looking to upgrade your life going into 2025, definitely check this book out. So book number 5, and I can't believe I missed this book somewhere in the last few years because I'm a huge Philip Freeman fan. And if you haven't read his books on Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar, definitely go read those right now. If you already have read those books, check out this, How to Think About God. This is actually a translation of 2 books by Cicero by Philip Freeman. So the translation is done by Philip Freeman. There's a forward and sort of like setting for it. But then it dives into sort of these 2 books that Cicero wrote, The Dream of Scipio, and then De Natura Deorum, or like On the Nature of God, or On the Nature of the Gods. What's really interesting about this is Cicero lived about 100 years before Jesus's ministry and all the stuff that happened on the earth around the time of like Jesus going to the cross. But Cicero's work would go on to inspire like Augustine, I think Benedict, and many of the early church fathers, and even I think inspires a lot of Christians today, really philosophers in general. Stoics, I know, are really interested in like what Cicero wrote comparatively to like Marcus Aurelius, since Marcus Aurelius was in the Empire, Cicero was in the Republic. But what's nice about Cicero is he knows that Stoicism alone isn't enough. And like he starts scratching at that surface of like, what is God? Who is God? How does one think about God? And I think he knew there was something beyond Stoicism, beyond the material world, beyond the self. And the way that Cicero gets there, I don't think anyone has done it as well as him. So to see that Philip Freeman did a translation from the original Latin and still preserve that original Latin in this book was really exciting. I'm just like, this is another one where I just kind of took a peek at it. I'm gonna hopefully finish it before Christmas. That's the goal. If you're in that discerning phase, or wherever you are in life, I think this is one of those things in Western canon that should be read and that you should have an opinion on, one way or another, or somewhere in between. I think looking at God through the lens of Cicero, it's what many of the great Christians have done, many of the great philosophers and world leaders, Teddy Roosevelt, John Adams, so many leaders of the Western world, even here in the United States, but also down in Mexico too. That's a whole other thing. I'll have to do a whole other video on that because I was reading some Cicero down in Mexico City last year, and you know what? That's a different video. Take this. So many awesome people throughout history have read these works, and to be able to consume these works, even if you don't fully understand Latin or you've never read Latin in your entire life, I think this is really cool and really accessible. Links to all these books will be down in the description below. And let me know, which one of these 5 are you most excited to read, or do you have another recommendation for some fall reading this season? With that, thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I'm so grateful for you, and if you haven't yet, please do so, and be kind both in life and in the comments below. Like this video to send good vibes across the internet, and we'll do it again soon. Oh man, I don't know why I got so pumped for this video, but yeah, it's a good video. Thanks y'all for being awesome. Later. Okay. Did I actually record that? Cool, I did.